So the hit indie classic Murder Drones is coming to an end, whether you like it or not. And speaking of whether you like it or not, it's very important that this one's coming to an end because it is the first indie animated show with a proper beginning and conclusion in a very long time. I mean, Eddsworld did, but that was kind of its own thing, you know. We're kind of in the indie animation era right now, and this is the first show that's actually ending from said era, and you're not gonna like it. Do I know how it's gonna end?
No.
But I know the internet. Now, why do I say this with such obnoxious conviction and arrogance? Because it's 2024. I don't want to be that guy and say you don't like anything, but let me just explain. Looking back at many of the most beloved shows of all time, even they had imperfect endings. I mean, a good example, Avatar: The Last Airbender. People say that is one of the best animated endings of all time. People criticize the Deus Ex Machina with the fucking turtle. People criticize the needless cliffhanger ending with Zuko and the mom. People criticize that said Deus Ex Machina with the turtle kind of removes any autonomy from the personal conflict Aang had in the first place. These are major problems, and that's not even counting how underdeveloped the main antagonist is compared to his own children. It made Mark Hamill boring. How do you make Mark Hamill boring, my guy? But whatever, that's one of the better ones. Recently, we've been having more refined endings. The anime community, a lot of their classic shows are coming to an end now. Attack on Titan had lots of great twists. And seems like everyone hates it. Not even for big reasons. There's like one or two scenes that made Aaron's motivation seem rather petty, comparatively speaking. And that's all anyone talks about. That seems really insane to me. Okay, so what if just the ending itself on its own? Like, what if we just look at the endings themselves? Okay, good point. We could do that. The build-up with My Hero Academia's ending seemed like that was going pretty well. I mean, wasn't perfect, but that whole show was kind of generic anyways. The only thing really special about the ending was that Deku didn't exactly feel accomplished. Even if it thematically made sense, it was a little unsatisfying seeing him just not stand out from the crowd and lose his powers. Honestly, and that was like a small part of the epilogue too. And that's all anyone talked about. And this isn't me saying that we can't criticize endings, but I feel like the My Hero Academia ending is the perfect example of just how crazy the internet got. Because for some reason, the internet like made all these headcanons to hate the show more. Like they were talking about like, oh no, Deku, he's working at McDonald's now, and Bakugo's cucking him. Watch out, white people, there's new cuck porn. Why? What is wrong with you people? Why is it always cucking, you weirdos? Whatever, you know? Okay, a little funny. And I know some people believe it. It's a little goofy that people believe it. So the thing is, that kind of just proves that whatever imperfection this finale is going to have, people are going to take and run with it. But another thing about Murder Drones that's specifically kind of worrisome is it's a young, angsty teen audience that watches it. So they don't have as much fandom experience. Something's gonna happen. It's gonna devastate them, and they're gonna make it our problem. It's gonna make it the whole rest of the internet's problem. They're gonna be going crazy about it. And that's not even counting when sometimes the build-up to endings feels a little rushed. With Murder Drones, the whole series has kind of been built around confusing the audience. The last episode ended on a wild cliffhanger. We still have a ton of questions. I don't know if they'll all be answered within a single episode. And apparently, basically a character who's dead for most of the show is going to play a more prominent role as well. So that's a lot. Where does this sound familiar? Oh, right. The anime Jujutsu Kaisen, or I guess the manga since the anime has not caught up quite yet. In that show, We have 5 chapters left, which is not a lot. And there is a lot of characterization that the creators just kind of forgot. Halfway through the story, he just kind of made it a shallow bloodbath where instead of actually developing characters, he's like, oh, here's a character. He fight bad guy. That random character died now. Rinse and repeat 200 times. And spoiler alert, because I mean this whole episode is just spoiler alert to be frank. A character that we thought was dead for years now, and even the people who were hoping she'd come back, they gave up after they had an entire panel confirming she's dead. She came back from the dead, out of nowhere, and immediately started Deus Ex Machinaing the main antagonist, basically sniping him from buildings away in a after being fucking comatose. And this may be the conclusion of the story, just out of nowhere, you know? Now, why do I bring that up? Well, we have a very powerful opponent in Murder Drones, and I can't imagine, kind of was implied that antagonists, destroyed the world or something. It was kind of vague once again. But even then, we might end up seeing some serious bullshit in order to save our heroes. Or even worse, the heroes might lose. Or even worse, cliffhanger. If you want to see a fandom go fucking crazy, there's a show from 2006 called Teen Titans, ended on a cliffhanger. No reason to add that cliffhanger at the end. The show concluded perfectly fine without it. There were a couple threads. But it ended on a cliffhanger, never picked up that cliffhanger, had a parody show replace it, and it's been we're nearing 20 years since that show ended, and the fan base just is still screaming about it nonstop. I am so... Please, for the love of God, do not end on a cliffhanger. If you're going to end the series, please. Oh my God. I cannot deal with another fandom dealing with the cliffhanger ending. No, we cannot do this shit, okay? The thing is, it is very true. Endings tend to be where even great shows kind of fall. Sometimes the network cancels them. Murder Drones, in essence, they have a lot they'll need to accomplish today. They have a lot they'll need to get right, to get perfect to satisfy the fan base. And even then, there's always going to be contrarians, there's always going to be critics, and they'll also try spinning the narrative that it was a failure even if everyone else disagrees. Usually, it starts pretty small, but with the ending, that retroactively changes the history of an entire show. For example, Game of Thrones, that was the most beloved show for 10 years going. Then the last season happened, and everyone fucking hates that show. I don't hear anything positive about that show anymore. It is wild because that was considered a flippin' masterpiece prior. But the ending left a sour enough taste. Now everyone hates it. Endings are terrifying for shows, but honestly, I'll take a bad ending over no ending. I'm pretty proud of Liam Vickers getting it this far. So whether or not his ending is perfect, the internet might not appreciate it, but you know what? As an indie animation fan, I sure as hell will. And if you like animation, make sure you sub to Allocations. Bye.